Hi folks, welcome to MTS. So last week I had put together a video basically going through the latest Menards transparent hopper. Um, at the end of that video, there was some issues. I was able to actually work through some of those issues. Um, so first, a lot more smooth and less wobble, I'll say, right? So um, I was actually able to put some conductor lubrication on the roller, and that helped the squeak. And then I had actually taken apart this entire truck assembly, which I do not recommend doing. The three springs that there are on here are a pain to get back on, and there's a whole lot of parts and pieces that have to come off to just get the wheel and axle assemblies off. So basically, both sides have to come apart. Um, so there's a screw in the middle that you have to take out, and then there's two screws on each side that have to be removed in order to get the wheels and axles off. So was able to get the wheels and axles off, and then basically rebalanced them using another tool that I have. So anyway, so I was pleased with how that finally turned out. The other thing I talked about on my video last week was to try and swap out these LED light strips with solid colors. So I had just received some LED light strips from Amazon. Action we're going to get, I think this is a 3-wire. The strips that I ordered are only a 2-wire, right? Just positive and negative. I'm going to go ahead and take it over to the workbench and see about taking this apart and swapping out the LED light strip. Okay. So I'm looking at, there's only, let's see, what is this? 8 and 8, 16 screws total. And it looks like I'm going to have to take all 8 out. We're going to start with the 4 screws on each side here and over on this side as well. Just see if that works. Just looking at as we're going here, we may because all I want to do is separate the shell. I do see that there's these little clips, so we'll have to be careful of those when we're separating. But let's see what we got. Alright, so we got those out. I'm going to use what I think it's called a spudger tool. It's basically, it's plastic. And it's actually used to separate LCDs from like iPhones. But we're going to see if I can't separate these without breaking it. But I really don't want to break them. It looks like they're very fragile. So real quick, what I was able to determine is that these screws do not affect how it's the ones on the right, both ends, right here, 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 and here. Those do not have to be removed. So I think what I'm dealing with right now is just trying to get these clips away to where I can pry this apart. Okay, I think I'm getting somewhere. This is very interesting. So let's focus on this end piece here. So this has to come apart in order for the hopper to separate from the base. I'm trying to do this without breaking it. There it goes. So it looks like it's actually tack glued. Just a little bit of epoxy on each end. They didn't want this to come apart, apparently. But at any rate, I think we're making some progress here. So to the other side and go from there. Okay, so we got both ends off. Just kind of being careful with this metal piece on the top. What I'm doing is I'm applying pressure to the top of the hopper while giving a little twist action. Boy, this is... Here's the thing, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this thing back together after all of this. So. I definitely highly recommend the little spudger tool. That seems to be working pretty well, and it's not scuffing it up. Alright folks, I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer out there. Do this at your own risk. I was able to separate the hopper from the chassis. However, in the process, you can see I broke my spudger tool and these little clips that go on the end of here, I think all but one broke off. So yeah, I've got 5 of these here. There's 6 clips. I think this is the only one here that stayed intact. I'm going to probably reassemble this with just epoxy once I get everything done, because the other thing too that I noticed when I was working on this is there's a lot of give in the middle. So my plan, I have some lead weights. I was going to drop a couple of lead weights in each side of this, about 3.5 ounces each, just to give it a little bit more stance and it'll help all of the wheels roll. Because with the way this was bowed, the 2 inner wheels would ride away from the rail. So I think with just a little bit of weight, that should alleviate that issue. But for now, we're going to focus on the LED replacement. Alright, so again, I was able to get these LED light strips from Amazon. That's the brand name HYADA. H-Y-A-D-A. I'll post a picture somewhere around here where it'll show you what I was able to get. These are purple. This is a pack of 6, and I believe they're about 12 inches per. So I'm going to pull one of these out. They feel very much like silicon. Smell like silicon. Alright, let me get these back in. That's going to be a thing. Yeah, so my concern here is, as you can see, this is for 2, just a positive and a negative. On here, I have 3 different wires coming off of it. Okay, so let me show you what I found so far. Let me zoom you in. I'm going to zoom you in and try to, I don't know how well this is going to work. So if you look on both sides, so the wires on the top and the bottom, there's my positive, and then the ground is on the other end. But we've gone this far. Let's go ahead and I'll separate this. We're going to remove that other piece of LED light strip and splice into the positive and negative on the new light strip. Okay, so I was able to look this up, and it says it's cuttable at every third bulb, or each 3 bulbs. So we'll just count them out. There's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See what that lines up on. 1, 2, 3. There's a cut. Alright, so we're going to have to cut it. Probably be better with a razor blade knife, but at any rate. The other thing too I saw is that it requires 12 volts. If this is a 5 volt, then this is not going to work at all. What I'm going to do is apply some power to the truck assembly here. Here we go. Drop that right in there. And what I'm going to do is just touch the positive wire to the positive solder and the ground wire. I'm not seeing anything happen. So there's not enough voltage coming from this assembly. I'm going to assume it's probably regulated at 5 volts, so I don't have enough power to make this happen. This has a 5 volt output. I need to get it to a 12 volt output. Alright, just a quick check. I'm going to just put this to the direct power on the outside of the CW80. There's an accessory option. There it goes. So that works with a 12 volt constant. Well, this one's got me stumped. So let me turn this on. I can actually run to the track and get those other lights to come on. I'm thinking what we're going to do is I'm just going to wire this direct. I'm going to run both of these wires to this wire. We're going to remove this chipset with all of that and try to make it to where it lines up, and then I can put it back together. Let's give it a shot. Okay, let's go ahead and unplug. Let me slide this over and make sure you guys can see this. What I got going on here. There we go. So we're going to unplug that so I can remove that light strip. One thing I'm noticing is this capacitor is very warm. So not sure if that's going to be something to kind of look out for in the future with these, but let me get the soldering iron. We're going to desolder these wires that are feeding into this. I'm going to remove this chip. Okay, while we're waiting for that to start up, I'm going to go ahead and just remove the LED light strip. I believe this should just come undone here. I think all it is, it's positioned with just some, it looks like maybe hot glue, something like that. So there we go. Well, I'm going to see if I can't get the rest of that out just where I have a nice smooth contact point, because this next LED strips actually has its own adhesive on the back of it. Okay, I was able to find like a flat X-Acto, so I'm going to try to ever so carefully remove the glue from the top of this without digging into the plastic like I just did. Again, I can't stress this enough, folks. Do this at your own risk. Know that if you make this kind of a modification, it will not go back the way that it was supposed to, that it was intended. And it's going to have scratches, and it's going to have all kinds of other issues with it. But I'm hoping, in my case anyway, the reward, I guess, outweighs the risk. I mean, like I say, I'm to the point now, I'm kind of committed. And maybe you can see that, you know what, that is not something I want to do. I was able to get all of the old glue off of that. But that'll work. But there we go. Yeah. Soldering iron is ready. Pops right off. That was good. Can you guys see what's going on here? Zoom in again. There we go. Same with that. There it goes. All right. Let me find my heat gun, or maybe even just a hair dryer. I'm going to see if I can just heat that up enough to where I can separate it. Okay, another problem number 343 of this project. There's not enough slack. I can't bring those two together. I'm going to have to come up with work. I'm going to solder into one side and then just run a connecting wire back into that. Okay, so I've added a couple extensions here. Got some heat shrink tubing. Do that. Alright, so I was able to remove the chipset by heating the bottom of it, just with a regular hair dryer. We're going to turn the light off real quick. Worked. Here we go. What? There we go. That's actually max output right now. I've got it all the way up to 18 volts and it's not having any kind of an issue. So that's great. That's going to look amazing inside of there. As stated, I've got some lead weight I'm going to stick in here before I start putting all this back together. I think that's going to be the best way for this, and since I've customized it this far, why not, right? So weights, these are just lead weights. They weigh about a little over 2 ounces per square. So I'm just going to lay them inside here. I'm going to hot glue them where they're in these troughs, and then we can start getting the wires reorganized. I'm going to tack a little glue underneath here just to hold that in place, and then we'll start working on getting it back together. little extra slack just underneath that weight. There we go. And now we start putting it back together. So what I'm going to do is just line up those what's left of those teeth that were on there. There we go. Before I get too far into that, I'm going to get some epoxy and just tack just a small drop of epoxy in each one of these, just to hold it in place where I had broken those other tabs. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little epoxy on the end of a toothpick just to get a little bit more precision. Okay, on the end I'm just going to put a little drop there, and just like before, we'll drop on both ends. Okay, I was able to get it back together. Just had to remember you have to have a small gap on each end where this end piece goes. But other than that, came back together. I was kind of able to smooth these catwalks back out. But I'm anxious to get it on the layout and see what we got. The other thing I don't like is the wire bunched right against the side of it. But I think I can get either a small gauge wire or something that I can go up through. There's a hole at the bottom of this, so I may be able to do something just to get that back in place. But other than that, it actually went back together surprisingly well. Again, I put some epoxy on it because those clips had broken off, but I feel really good about the modifications. The extra weight definitely makes a difference in how it rolls anyway on my work mat. So we'll get it over to the layout, take a look. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. One thing I wanted to show is the difference in weight between the modified car that I just did and the original. So this is the original without any modifications. You can see it's coming in at 14 ounces, 14.7 ounces. And then this is the modified version. And 1 pound, 3.4 ounces. So significant improvement in some weight. Feeling pretty good about that. And there you have it, folks. Just wow. I'm taken away. Very, very pleased with how these modifications turned out. Menards, if you're watching, I think this is a great option for a future production run. I have a few other cars where I will do a red and a green for Christmas time, and probably have another purple to run with this one during Halloween. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the line.